Making peace? Wow. The whole world will be thanking God and kowtow to you.
Warning: sensitive images.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
We've got to be blunt about this. It's coming from the actions of Russia. And I'm afraid, as you say, yes, we are forecasting a recession now.
And taxes rise and life lead down, and nations wear perpetual frown. And Christian 1 fights Christian 2, and nations sigh, yet nothing do.
Please watch on for Prophecy Part 250, Prophecies by the English soothsayer, Mother Shipton.
Becoming vegan was the biggest change I ever made in my life, and one of the greatest accomplishments as well. Woody Harrelson, vegan.
Warmest wishes, friendly viewers. I am Maeve, a creative artisan who weaves intricate fabrics using crosswise plant fibre threads on a loom. The polite people of the United Kingdom delight in the power of your genuine compliments that boost the self-esteem of others. May you continue to generate positive energy by loving your neighbours as you love yourself. Throughout the history of mankind, the divine messages are often shrouded in mystery. Prophets, messiahs, or whichever names you call them, are often persecuted and oppressed, their words obscured. But how do we distinguish the true from the false? To do so, one can only rely on the divine's guidance, and the truth will reveal itself to those who earnestly seek it. Today we continue to explore Mother Shipton's prophecies, in particular the stanzas that seem to uncannily portray the acts of evil inflicted by Russia on Ukraine or Ukraine, and Russia's exploitation of its own citizens.
And nations plan horrific war, the like is never seen before, and taxes rise and life lead down, and nations wear perpetual frown.
This senseless war has caused taxes to rise and has made it harder for people to earn a livelihood all over the world. Russia is one of the main producers of gas and oil, and due to the war-related sanctions, gas prices have gone up. This has resulted in overall inflation. Ukraine or Ukraine is one of the major breadbaskets of the world, producing staples like sunflower oil, wheat, sugar, corn and barley. But the war has destroyed the production of these crops in the country. In 2021, Ukraine or Ukraine made up 13% of the world's corn exports, 47% of global sunflower oil, and 8.5% of that of wheat. Moreover, Russia has disrupted the export of such Ukrainian or Iranian produce intentionally, stealing grains from occupied regions and attacking agricultural infrastructures such as grain silos, food warehouses and railways, as well as closing key ports that were exporting such produce. Russia was also the major exporter of fertilizers, accounting for about 13% of global total production as of 2022, but decided to halt exports. Fertilizers are one of the steepest expenses for farmers, especially as prices have soared since 2020 due to COVID-19. With the war adding extra pressure, this has led to record high prices. Countries all over the world are suffering from this brutal war. The shortage of these major crops has directly affected food prices across the globe, making survival for many harder in general, with some 400 million people dependent on grain from Ukraine or Ukraine. In countries that are heavily dependent on wheat from Ukraine or Ukraine, like Somalia, Yemen, Sudan, Syria and Bangladesh, many people are facing starvation. In fact, with the war disrupting nearly 30% of the world's grain supply, it is one of the direct causes of the global hunger crisis, especially in poor developing countries.
We haven't been able to export around 20 million tons of agricultural commodities, which we should definitely have exported if there was no war.
The Ukrainian government says that since Russia's invasion in February of 2022, around a quarter of the land usually used for planting crops has become unfarmable.
Because some territory is partly occupied and some territories keep military battles, and on some still are mines.
Not only that, but much of the produce that is being successfully farmed for export is being blocked from leaving the country.
A Russian blockade of Ukraine's crucial Black Sea ports means millions of tons of wheat, for example, are trapped. The EU calls Russia's actions a war crime, saying it's weaponizing the lives of the world's starving poor.
Nearly half of African countries, they import more than a third of their wheat from Russia and Ukraine. And for example, Somalia sources more than 90% from those two countries. There is one person dying from hunger every minute across Ethiopia, Kenya and Somalia. In West Africa, the region is facing its worst hunger crisis in a decade.
As inflation and energy prices soar due to the evil war, governments have to increase taxes in order to make ends meet. Economic and humanitarian efforts have occurred in many countries, with families around the world suffering due to the higher cost of living.
A Treasury source saying there's an eye-watering black hole in the public finances. It's going to be rough. The truth is that everyone's going to have to contribute more in tax if we're going to maintain public services.
Everyone seems to agree the gas prices are too high and will continue to go up.
It's the news that no driver wants to hear. As of this Friday, gas taxes are automatically going up in Maryland and Virginia.
First of all, the cost of living. Because prices are going up sharply, inflation in the UK is over 10%.
Well, we've been hit by a very, very severe shock, and that shock is coming through energy prices, I'm afraid.
And the Bank of England is clear on the cause and the consequence.
You know, we've got to be blunt about this. It's coming from the actions of Russia. And I'm afraid, as you say, yes, we are forecasting a recession now.
And this impact connects to Russian gas. It's exported across Europe, but one key pipeline is currently shut for what Moscow calls maintenance. France, though, says Russia is using gas as a weapon of war. And with doubts about supply, energy prices are up. So are food prices. Ukraine's a major exporter of wheat. Wheat prices are up 25% since last year.
And Christian 1 fights Christian 2, and nations sigh, yet nothing do.
Due to Russia's invasion, these two Christian countries are indeed at war, as Mother Shipton's prophecies indicate. The main religion in both Ukraine or Ukraine and Russia is Christianity, with Orthodox Christianity making up the majority. The verse, "Nations sigh, yet nothing do," also accurately expresses Ukraine's or Ukraine's lack of foreign support, especially in the early days of the war. In particular, NATO refused to admit Ukraine or Ukraine for membership, and so did not provide protection. It has been stated that Europe fears a European war breaking out, and so countries have been giving indirect assistance, such as providing weapons and placing sanctions on Russia. And Putin uses his nuclear weaponry stockpile to threaten that if any countries intervene, they would face consequences that they have never seen before.
Whoever would try to stop us and create further threats to our country, to our people, should know that Russia's response will be immediate and lead you to such consequences that you have never faced in your history. We are ready for any outcome.
A majority of the members of the United Nations did not vote to expel Russia.
What does that tell you?
It tells you Russia has significant support around the world.
And around this table, the increasing Russian aggression tests the limit of NATO. The alliance doesn't support a Ukrainian no-fly zone.
You've said no NATO troops. You've said no NATO planes in Ukrainian airspace. When you see residential apartment complexes like that ablaze or in rubble, as a human being, is there any sense of remorse that you can't do more?
We are stepping up the support, but we also made it clear that we are not part of the conflict. We are a defensive alliance, and we will not move NATO troops or NATO air forces into Ukraine.
The Chancellor, despite his strong talk at the beginning of the war, has chosen effectively to do nothing. His indecisiveness is more than a political failure. It amounts to a dangerous weakening of the resolve of those who oppose Russia's war, clearing the way for more brutality and violence. So, critics argue, as Russians stomp violently across Ukraine, Germany has been dragging its boots. Germany's economic might as the European Union's biggest economy makes it a critical player here. But instead of outright banning all oil and gas imports from Russia, Germany has opted to, quote, phase out those shipments, continuing a revenue stream which some critics say helps fund Russian war efforts.
You see, Europe and America lectured India, told it not to buy Russian oil, to stop dealing with Moscow, to be on the right side of history. Yes, those were the exact words they used. But guess what? The same Europe that lectured India is still doing business with Moscow. This report came out in January. It said Europe is still buying over a quarter of diesel imports from Russia. What happened to the pledge of not buying Russian oil? The promises of punishing Moscow by restricting oil imports.
Russia is a major arms supplier for India. There's this kind of a tightrope walk that India seems to be doing in terms of not wanting to annoy the Russians too much. We have become closer to Russia because of the kind of nationalism that, that is behind the Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Europe has played a major role in garnering support for Ukraine as it continues to deal with the Russian invasion. However, a new report says that European countries have not been practicing what they preach, as they have been the biggest defaulter. An EU analysis published by The Telegraph reveals that France and Germany armed Russia with $295 million worth of military hardware. This includes bombs, rockets, missiles, and guns.
Our most compassionate Supreme Master Qinghai, vegan, shared her precious insights on situations happening around the tragic war.
Now everything just happens out of nowhere. And humans still don't learn, don't stop being violent or indirectly violent, killing all the innocent animals, people. And they are eating them and getting sick, getting bad karma, having war, getting pandemics, epidemics, and all kinds of things like that. Also, all this Ukrainian war happened thanks to NATO refusing Ukraine membership, and thanks to whomever supported that decision from NATO obstructing Ukraine getting into NATO.
Right.
So now NATO has an excuse not to go in there and fight and have Ukraine.
Yes, Master.
But the Ukrainians, they're truly brave, truly good. All that, and they still taking back thousands of square kilometers of the occupied land from Russia.
Yes, Master.
Even though they sacrifice so much, but they still continue doing it. So, for the new draft, they just draft anybody, even an old man. An old man with whatever disease on the internet. Something like that even. An old man drafted.
Wow.
And now if people flee across the border, they install some office there to catch them, to draft them right there at the border.
Yes, Master. Yes, Master.
But this will only be killing the Russians more.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
The Kremlin, all these devil so-called Putin is really pushing his citizens out to die, putting them in harm's way, in death's way.
Yes, Master.
May God save Ukraine and the Ukrainian people. May all wake up.
Yes. Yes. Amen. Amen.
May the whole world wake up to have peace and paradise on earth between humans and between humans and animal people.
Amen.
And of course, Russia go home.
Yes, right.
And may God bless also NATO members. Now is the time to stop the war, or NATO should bring all its forces, its soldiers into Ukraine and flush all the Russian soldiers out of Ukraine, or kowtow to Russia.
There are at least 80,000 cases of war crimes against the Kremlin, enough evidence to arrest Putin and his henchmen. The International Criminal Court still does nothing much to it. Pray our most merciful Lord to please have pity for Ukraine or Ukraine, as well as the Russians who are against this unjust war.
Vegan, because we must tread gently on the planet. There are 211 countries and regions which have animal people protection laws. Egypt is one of them. Egypt, Constitution 2014 and Penal Code 1937. Article 45 of Egypt's constitution says the state shall guarantee humane treatment of animals according to the law. Also, the Penal Code states that the killing or poisoning of animal people is to be punished by imprisonment with hard labor for up to 1 year or a fine. Obey the law of your country. No more animal people slaughterhouses. No more hurting. No more murdering them to eat, to lab test, or for any reason at all. Be vegan. Make peace. So be it.
Supportive viewers, thank you for joining us today. Please tune in again next week as we continue to consider the extraordinary prophecies by English prophetess Mother Shipton. Coming up next is ancient Greek astronomer Hipparchus and his long-lost stars map, right after noteworthy news. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. May the light of your spirit grow brighter with every passing day.
Be vegan, make peace, do good deeds. Heaven Godspeed.
Russia, leave Ukraine or your reign now. Peace be with you too. Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/AP.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule et suprememastertv.com/AP.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visiten suprememastertv.com/schedule y suprememastertv.com/AP.
Chương trình của chúng tôi cung ứng nhiều ngôn ngữ. Xin xem suprememastertv.com/schedule và suprememastertv.com/AP.